Hello, hello. Welcome to Wicked Journals. Welcome back. This is part 2 of the cloth cover journal. So we made this together. It's got the paper bag in the middle. You can see a little bit of it poking out there, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. There we go. That's a little better. So what I did is I hand stitched around. I liked the look of the uneven stitches. It just looks quaint, cute, I guess. I had this metal, it's like a ribbon clamp on the end with a hook, obviously, and I put that here. I'm going to be using that as part of the closure. So that's where we're at. The cover is ready. I did measure and score where the spine is going to be, so there's a little bit of structure there. And it's going to have a little flap to hold it closed. So I'm going to set that aside. I've already pre-cut the signatures. This is packing paper from Amazon orders. I have rolls and rolls of this stuff, so I thought, well, this would be perfect to make the little signatures out of. I have them clipped to hold those together as I stitch them in place. And I have 4 with 5 sheets each, and so folded in half, it's 10 sheets, 20 pages if you count both sides. So I have 4 of those ready to go. And then I also made my template. So this is going to be the top and the bottom. And I want to punch the holes in my signatures before I sew them in. So that's what we're going to do now. So I have, this is just a mouse pad that I use for punching holes. And so we're going to stick this guy in here, and we're just going to line up one of the lines with the fold in my signature. So you can see the fold there. I'm just going to line that up. And then I'm going to clip it in place like that. Okay, and then I just want to make sure. So this template obviously is bigger than the signature, because obviously because the cover is a little bit bigger than the signature. So I'm going to kind of center it like that. And what we're going to do, because I want all of the signatures to have the same, is I'm going to mark right here where the edge of the signature is here and at the bottom, so I can line that up perfectly. I'm going to get my pokey tool, and I'm just going to go down the line here. And there we go. So there's one. Okay. And again, I'm just going to line up the top and bottom. There's 2. Line up the top and bottom. There's 3. Line top, bottom. there's 4. All right, so there's our signatures. That one did not go very well in the center, so just gonna all right. So there's that. Now we're also going to, and I just realized something about the closure. That's not going to work if we use the flap. Okay, we'll figure that out later. Okay, so here we have the top and the bottom, and I'm just fitting it in that crease where I had created some lines for the spine. I am going to clip this into place just to make sure it doesn't go wonky on me. Okay. Yeah, there we go. All right, and then we're going to take our pokey tool and we're going to poke here, here, and here. And when we bind the signatures, we're doing a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So I'm just going to make those holes. Okay. Okay. That should be good. Just gonna pick it up and make sure that those are all the way through and pretty securely poked all the way through there. Because when you're binding the signatures in, it is a little tricky if the holes aren't punched all the way through properly. It gets a little hinky. So, all right, so there's our holes. Set my template aside. Okay, and so, yeah, that looks good. Okay, I'm going to be using some black linen waxed thread. And we're going to do 1, 2, 3 lengths for each signature. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And I'm going to grab one of my binding needles. A lot of people don't like the pointed ones because it can split your thread, but if you're careful, that doesn't happen. And I like the pointed thread because just in case my hole is not punched through all the way, it helps guide the thread. All right, so here we go. Signature 1. I'm going to start in the middle. There we go. And I always, you want to leave the tail on the inside there. Come up to the top. And there's the hole. And there we go. There we go. Okay. And then down to the bottom. And then here's where you want to be careful not to split your thread on the inside. So this, you want to make sure this is kind of snug so you're going in the right spot. Okay, and we're going to go Now, make sure your thread is on either side of that center. Pull it gently. You don't want to rip your signature, but you do want it snug. So that, I like to tuck it under again to do a second knot. Pull it taut and trim. And there's one. All right. So we did the black, so you're barely going to see that on the spine when it's all done. And here is our first signature. Woo! All right, let's do signature number 2. Just gonna thread my needle. Okay, and we're gonna line these up, and here we go. Through the center hole of the signature, and the center hole here, and then we're gonna clip those in. Well, let's clip this side. That way we can look at that side if we need to. So, all right, center. And this looks awkward because sometimes binding your signatures in is kind of awkward. I'm not gonna lie. I don't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just for me, but sometimes it's kind of awkward, especially when you've got a book that is not hardback, or, you know, it's just kind of flippy floppy all over the place. So it's kind of hard to make it look pretty. But there we go. My needle. All right. So we've got those. I want to make sure it's not stuck on anything. Okay. And we're going to go back through that center hole. Again, this is where you want to make sure you don't split your thread with your needle. Okay. Make sure you're coming in on both sides of that center. Pull it tight. I like to just pull it a little bit in both directions, just to make sure there's nothing stuck or hung up somewhere. Again, I like to tuck these ends back under. Apparently I cut way too much thread on this one, but I can save these pieces for another project. So, tuck that and trim. And there is signature number 2, numéro 2 en français. All right. And here we go with signature number 3. I'm just gonna thread my needle. So get this in place. Like so. Get it? I'm sewing like so. Never mind. Just ignore me. Okay. There we go. And we're going to pull that through. Make sure to leave a generous tail. And there we go. And I'm going to pull it through the top. Pull it through the top up here. There we go. know, I'm kind of doing journal planner acrobatics here as I'm binding these, but like I said, it's flippy floppy and not always the easiest to get it to go where you want it to go. So there we go. And here we go with the center. Make sure I'm on both sides of the string. I mean, you can always put it under if you come up with, you know, with both sides on the same side of the string. It's not like you can't go whoop. So it's more important that you don't split your thread, because that compromises the integrity of the thread, and it can be a lot easier to unravel down the road with use and age. So there you go. We're just gonna tie that baby up. Bam! Trim. There we go. And that is number 3. One more to go. All right. Here we go. Gonna thread this needle. I don't know what that was, that high-pitched. Okay. All right. Here we go. Put it through the center. There we go. And we're going to find our center here. Line it up. Clip it in place. You could use, these are quilters clips, I think, that I got off Amazon, but you could use paper clips or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. Just whatever works to help you keep things in place while you bind. So you can even, to make sure that tail doesn't come through, you can clip this under there. As long as you don't yank on it too hard, it will hold that tail for you. All right, coming up here to the top. Here to the top. And in there. Then down to the bottom. Okay, looks good. And back through that center. Back through that center. There we go. See, like here, I didn't get them both on either side of that center, but you can just pull it through. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. There we go. And do our little S-curve. Tie that bad boy. And we're done. Well, with binding signatures anyway. All right, so here we are. Lovely, lovely, loveliness. All right, so that was fun. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of work these in here a little bit. Just gonna kind of do-de-do, make sure they're snug. Okay, so this is a lot of pages, right? And as I fill these, this thing's gonna get pretty chunky. So I'm looking forward to that.